Hello guys, Tonny here. I promised to you that I was going to make a guide of how to reach 100 waves or more or less to get the Victoria Cross ribbon. So this deploy here, this deployment here, I choose actually to make a classic deployment because the majority of the guys that are gonna see this are gonna make this deployment and when they get the close protection or proper planning deployment, they gonna be in the better situation using this strategy. I think. Hope you like. So what I'm doing here, basically, I put all my soldiers in the rear, so I can distribute them for the map in order to cover all the possible pixels in advance because I want to take as many as possible crates of the ground, the German crates, little ones, maybe the weapons crates too, so I can have the leverage in this start of the battle. So why I use 5 soldiers instead of uh, 6 at the beginning. First things because I don't have the sufficient TP to it. And first thing we always going to do is to buy an engineer because if we have early vehicles in the game, we can just explode them with the 18 mines and sort of things like that. We can make constructions. When we get to the red line, I'm gonna explain why I take the engineer first. And the six soldier, what's it gonna be? It's gonna be a vehicle. It's gonna be the half track because we're gonna use the 105 howitzer to soften some of the the waves we're gonna get. Because when we get to the red line, we're gonna fall back all to the start line. Why? For for us to be uh, to have actually for us to have the most ground possible to advance in the future with our scout. That's gonna be a thing I'll explain later. I always get my engineer the pencil track. I have this personal reference. I don't know why, basically, but I think it's good. Extinguisher is very good. Yours gonna need. So C1, basically, you get a free TP. Still, the Molotovs are very good when you get the smokes from the combating arms, the smoke barrage, because if you can stop the advance of the Germans while they are in the smokes, very good. So they can uh, be as close as possible to your soldiers. That's one of the things that can end the game in the later run. Here we can see a flag 30, but it has no line of sight to us, so we, we, we can fight it without using an explosives, just getting close to it. But since I still have enemies around, I'm just gonna focus on them instead of just getting getting the battle with the flag 30. Right now, I already called the half track with the 105, and it can be some nuisance depending of the position of your troops because it can friendly fire them. But if you manage to put the half track, let's see, one screen, something like that, one screen. Uh, collapse of your troop is okay. They're not gonna friendly fire them. You should think I must have taken the crates to the let's extract the ammo crates, but I have five different uh, utility items that have a very specific function. So each one of them serves for one thing. So it's a very important thing. You see that I make a little line here with my soldiers, like one after the other, because when you see like a single German or something like that, you can just put one soldier in the front and just the long range rifles in the back. It's a good strat. And close quarters, it works very well. When you have a tree close to a soldier, you have a trench. You can just put the guy with the shotgun at the front, while the others are the backup from behind. Obviously, just showing the soldiers to only one German wall. Now, as I said, I'm going to retreat. In this strategy, uh, basically, I don't have a scout. I have 6 men. I can just buy a scout. I have 7 because of the 6-man rule. But I'm gonna retreat anyway, just like that. Just gonna put all the soldiers to the rear, while I try to make a little bit of spotting the enemy, because that's what the howitzer is good for. Uh, it just kills the waves while they are coming, and they can even still have sight of your soldiers. That's why the scout's so good for that. But we're just gonna skip that. So our main trench is gonna be in the middle of the screen, so we're just gonna clear some trees here with the half track while the engineer is gonna work on the half track position. It's I like to put it right beside a wall of trees, because they can get line of sight of the jaggers, and it's basically that. I just get in beside the trees. Once I have some of my soldiers in the net, I can just call the scout, so he's just gonna spot the units, the German units for us. As you can see, I use my scout just to spot the man and just come back to the tree, never getting too many contacts at once because it can be overrun. But in this particular situation, I just get a little bit of action because the scout is 50, 57 combat, so it can get the job done. Using the line of sight blockage always, while the Germans still advancing and the howitzer still peppering them, and the infantry is engaging. So when we see the smoke to the airbursts, just gonna run for the hills. Doesn't matter which side, just go away. Reason I make the net first instead of the trench and stuff was to get my scout first, because it was more important to have the half track shooting at the Germans than getting a little bit of cover of to my soldiers because one thing that ends their game is when you get like overrun by 8, 10 soldiers at the beginning, and they start throwing flares at you and destroying your constructions, and you just cannot have the enough resources to get back for it. So you can see I don't really have a problem of getting my scout very far away from my line because at this stage of the run it's very unlikely to have a wave spawning like a few pixels off my position of the scout. It just happens a little late game, so I'm good with it. So at the start, it just goes like this. I go to the right with my scout, spot the man, uh, go back a little bit, get the half track to work, and if it's all clear, come back and advance again. Uh, if my scout manages to get the retreat all the way to my main line, it uh, it can mean that the Germans are just becoming to have higher numbers. So I just can invest in some more infantry support or something like that. So here I managed to spot a Stug coming in our direction. So the things we looted at the start of the game just gonna help us now because we are full of tools to deal with and because we can just advance our engineer to put a mine, 80 mine, because we have the ground gain of by the scout, so he can just do that. We can just advance the engineer again because he has the panzer frac and he can just hide in a tree and blow up the stug. Can do plenty of things because in this way of playing, I just don't get the M10 right off the bat because I don't have enough TPs to do it from the start. Like I have 5 from the classic deployment, so that's how it's going to be. We have to rely on the bazookas and the 80 mines of the engineering, and basically it's this. Something I forgot to say. Since the start, we can and we must invest in the TP farming because as we get no enough quantity of TPs from the deployment, we just cannot let the game pass, and we just don't have a tent and don't have the TPs from it. And if you have the metal, the ribbon of the TP generation is very good because you can just have three TPs per one single wave. It's very good. As I said, using the bazooka. So we get in a blitz, and it is the blitz that the bikes and the flamers come, and it's not a big deal. It's just the thing we're gonna do is just to bait deployment of the bikes with your scout. You can use a Frenchie, you can use medic, you can use anything. Just make sure it's a fast soldier, because if you don't have enough speed to get away from the bikes. Since we are in the beginning of the map, the bikes take a little longer to get by, so it gives you a little bit of time to prepare if you already haven't. So let's see how it goes. Simple as that. Well, at this time I have already a sniper with T20 upgrade the weapon. Why that? Because the main weapon of the sniper is very takes a very long time to shoot, and the sniper weapons are just like this in general. Semi-automatic uh, rifles work best with snipers, at least in all my experience with it. So that's why I choose it, because they are going to be your main line of defense, your main line of killing. Because with the scout, you can just spot the enemies as you do with the half track, and the the snipers will engage from very far away. That's the trick with this game, because unlike in Mud and Blood 2, where you have one stream and the soldiers spawn at the same time they did, you basically already had sight of them, and they did have sight of you. This game is not like this. You lose sight when you get your soldier away for like a string of the soldier, and it gives you several number of advantage or disadvantage, and you must play the game like you know for sure there is this type of situations, because that's the way the game is meant to be played, like the map, full map on the zone. For this early setup, I sometimes get a signaler. I have a medic, a sniper, scout, and engineer, like as special units. As I said, I would get a signaler, but at this update, I think it was this update, the rookie signaler have a little bit boost of his call-in chance, and along with the antenna he can use with the engineer building it, we can have a very successful call rate. So instead, just gonna save for the M10, because we are already getting close to wave 45, wave 50, and we had already had encounter with the Stug here, so gonna just not gonna take any chances. Must be asking yourself, what am I doing here with the sniper and the scout just so far away? Uh, as I said, the sniper can engage from afar. Why I have he's so close to the German lines? It's because simply because when I get closer to the enemy, the sniper gets a better uh, precision bonus or precision skill, and I take leverage from that, taking in with my scout. For other motive too, because when I take a soldier that can engage the the enemies to the right, far to the right, I just move the spawn of the Germans to far right too. You're gonna see that later because if I just have an engineer scout there, my sniper would still be shooting from the main tent. So what was it going to do? Was just make my main trench being the the basis for the spawn of the Germans. So one time they can just spawn behind my scout, so it's very dangerous to just leave all your snipers behind. I'm not saying you just need to have all your snipers with the scout, no, but an engineer and a sniper and a scout is very good to do these patrols. Basically, I find this tendency of the game to do these little patrols of the scout and the sniper. At this point, I already heard a stug coming, so I just take my engineer behind the rock. I try to get the position to plant an 80 mine, and that's it. So at wave 38, I already have my M10. So the fact that the 80 mine got blown up is just not a big deal because I still have another way of exploding that stug. And sure, I'm just gonna have my engineer at the tree just to make sure if the stug does not get blown off by the M10 that is really concerning with the Pack 30. You're just gonna blow up with the Panzer Strike of the engineer. An SS Blitz. So, first thing I like to do when I got a ground based, a lot of troops blitz, is to know where they are, like where they spawn, because they can come from the right of the far right of the German HQ, or they can come just one and a half screen away from your main trench. So it's good to know. So I'm just gonna make that setup, the antenna with the signaler, and just discover where they are. Well, it did appear that I didn't have to spot the SS with my signaler because I just heard a lot of steps behind that German there. So it wasn't necessary to expand D1TP. So there they are. Now the reason I called just now the scout plane is because if they get too close of my lines and have a lot of enemies, they just can call the RD flares and blow up my construction. So I just prevent that by calling a scout plane that can deter the the RD shells, the RD work. I mean, one thing that is very annoying with these elite blitzes, is that they just obliterate the morale of your soldiers because they have the automatic weapons. They keep shooting, the soldiers keep getting pinned, and they just get their morale just to the ground. As I said, they can just throw the flares at you. Always in mind that your injured soldiers must be just behind the healthy ones in order to they can be the ones that get shot because they already have low health. So one shot can just kill them. So at the point I have the M10 advanced with it because it's already a gun that can shoot while it moves, so it's it's staying behind when my scout and my sniper are just advancing. Just I think just a waste of the power of it. So to remind, always keep the scout and the sniper advancing, retreating. When you see the ground is clear to advance, you just advance with the scout first to take the information, and when you see that you're going to get overrun, uh, just go back with the sniper and scout to your trench. When the Pack 88 spawned, I thought it was going to destroy my M10, so I just ran away with it and ran with the scout, the engineer, pardon me, to build a trench because just gonna draw the fire to the the closest soldier. So it's a way to prevent your main trench to get destroyed and just lose a lot of TP with that. Just to repair the camnet or maybe the tent with the camnet together. So a trench on the front is just a very cheap way to avoid it. Advancing with the M10 together is very good because sometimes when you are advancing only with infantry, your soldiers can spot a vehicle, but you are so concentrated on the infantry advance that you just can't see them in time, so they can just take advantage on you. So if you have the M10 will aim at the vehicles because it takes priority over him, and you can hear actually the turning of the turret to aim the vehicle, so it's very good for that. So I managed to have a platoon of Volkssturm very close to my lines. So thanks to my sniper that was shooting right behind my scout, they were a little bit far to the right, so that's why the this spawn uh, this spawn play is very important. So as they are a lot of soldiers, like 20 of them, I just called the Frenchy Michus to give me a little help. So since this is a guide to Victoria Cross, it's very important to say that we cannot have a large number of soldiers deployed, so you can just forget about that when you call the Frenchies. So you need to be advised of that, because it's less than 25 soldiers, if I can recall, that we are allowed to call to the battle. And sure, I did call the the support from the radio, because you never know. So still can call more snipers. It's very good to have a few of them before wave 100 and have the experience farmed by them. In this particular wave, they just spawn right at the front of my scout and my Frenchie while I was trying to get some items from the ground. So it can happen when you don't have your front line established more for the right. Just a little bit of farming for the dead soldiers, just using the Frenchy to get some Panzerfaust, because if you get too many smokes on your front line and there are enemy vehicles, sometimes you are just forced to throw a Frenchy to the smoke and just blow uh, a tank or something like that, or you're gonna die. So for the bad moments, it's very important to have all the soldiers with item. So when we are getting the airdrop crates, I just put the landing zone a little closer to my main trench. You're gonna see later why I put just in front of it, because the second trench is going to be not the place of my meet-use. Just gonna be temporary. I'm just gonna build my trenches later, so it's not a big deal to have the landing zone just in front of the tent. So this time you can see I'm using 6 soldiers to advance, a Frenchie, 2 snipers, 1 engineer, 1 scout, and 1 M10. Uh, it's like it's not the best setup ever, but the Frenchie on the front can just absorb the random spawning one screen and away waves. The scout will just spot the enemy, the snipers will just shoot him to death and just move their spawn location to the right. The M10 will spot the enemy vehicles and just blow up. the engineer just gonna put some mines, some AT mines, whatever. This is a very versatile squad to just do this little patrols, I said. So why I think the control of the response of the Germans is very important. It is because if you can do a good patrol with a good setup of soldiers, like a scout, two snipers, one engineer, or scout and five snipers, get your M10 a camnet. If you're able to do this, you can just put some trenches on the whole map. Just get your snipers, one on each trench, one behind the other, and just keep them shooting and just manipulating the spawn of the Germans. So uh, when they do respawn, they don't respawn close to your line, so they just spawn to the right of your scout. So it's get good to it to basically spotting them better and just make the game easier. Why? Because after wave 100, when you're getting the combined forces, I mean, uh, the Germans will be calling so many smokes on you that it basically become impossible to see any enemy. on the map, vehicle or infantry. So uh, you must have the setup in hand while that the combiner forces happen, because they will just spawn like at the right of your scout. So you have time, you have the ground, you have the choices to just combat it with all the precaution, all the the firepower you can, because the smokes will land just to the right. You can just fall back, you can get let them get some ground. It doesn't matter, because when they get in your range, your tanks will be just fine to engage with their tanks. Your infantry will be just fine to engage with them. If you can call some support, it's very good too, because they have so many infantry. That sometimes gets a little bit tricky, but you just like that. It's not a big deal. Just the name of the game is just use the ground you have, use the advance, the retreat, all of that, the leverages, in order to just don't get too many Germans close to you on the later waves. That the thing that can end your game. Basically that. Well, this is one of my favorite setups for this type of patrol. Three snipers, one engineer, one scout, and one M10. Just gonna place some trenches in order to get the place to the scouts to be fine. If a sniper blitz just appears to happen, they will just prioritize your most senior units. So it's very good to have a trench to give them some defense. The lower experience units just gonna be fine without the trench for the snipers, because they will never shoot them. Like the engineer and the scout, if you happen to have one of them that is very high XP, it just not gonna compensate. They be in the trench. Just put him on the tent instead, and just buy another engineer and buy another scout, because they are better for strategy when they are not too experienced. In this patrol, I lost my engineer. The Germans appeared so fast, so I wasn't able to just bail out of the trench. So I had to use the smoke grenade of the sniper, and it did very good to the others, but the engineer didn't have luck. So it happens. As I said, the least experience you have on the engineer or the scout is better, because in the end they're not going to be targeted by the sniper, so they're just going to be fine. They just can advance more, and that's it. One of the easiest blades you can have, the Goliath. Something you just might be wondering is why the hell, when they get to the range of your soldiers just start shooting them, and when they are just gone, the German infantry just begins to advance at you. They keep advancing. At some moment, they are just almost in your trench, and you're thinking, why my soldiers are not shooting? It's because there is a little bug with the Goliaths. When your soldiers just target the the little these little bugs, they just freeze when they stop shooting. I don't know why. So you're just gonna have to move them and move it again. Just a little tricky thing, but you must do it, because if you don't do it, sometimes they just not going to shoot. So it's very good to know. Then, as I said, the economy building in this game is very important to do since the start. So as soon as possible, if you can just build the supply depots, it's just very good for you because you're just gonna spawn on more crates, airdrops to you. So at some later waves, just means that you get like 7 to 10 TPs on each crate that that reaches the landing zone. So it's very good to have these supply depots. It's just an investment as the tent. So as I said, the Goliath Blitz is one of the easiest, so it's not a big deal dealing with them. The only thing it could be very bad it is if these things just appears at your front line, then suddenly a combiner forces just appears behind them along with the smokes on your position. You're basically doomed because uh, if you're able to just survive the Germans advancing your position, if you do this, you still have these lot of bugs just infesting your front line, and your vehicles will be targeting them while their vehicles will be targeting all your stuff. If you don't have a bait trench like with the Frenchies because they are already dead, I don't know, then it's going to be even worse. So it's just a thinking. I never had one of these, but just can happen. So Panzer Grenadier is not a big deal too. If you have the ground with your scout, it's going to be even less of a threat because you can advance with your engineer. You can put a single uh, double AT mine. It will just end the entire blitz. It's one way, but you can just advance with your M10s too, and they just gonna blow it too. You can choose whatever you want. As you see, when when the enemy vehicles just start getting without the infantry support necessary to their advance, they just begin to retreat to their. As you see, the smoke barrage just spawns a little bit to the right of the main trench, a little bit behind of my scout and my sniper, because I moved the original front line to a little bit to the right. So it's something that can do. The smoke just lands behind. And when I happen to find false or Shrek or something like that, and I don't need to use it because I already have one or something like that. I just shoot it to the ground or sort of this because it can happen to move the spawn to the right too if I do it to the scout. And as you see, these German half tracks were a lot of ground behind because when they start to advance and have no infantry to back up, they just see the situation and just fall back to the original line when the infantry is coming, and just that is the mechanic of the vehicles. They just don't gonna advance like crazy to your lines. It's a very good intelligence I see for it. Yeah, you can think like this is a lot of micromanagement, moving around the soldiers, just advancing and then retreating and then moving the Frenchies to the right and the snipers to the tent, just doing it all and over and over and over again. But I think it's a good way of playing because you have all the map you can possibly dream of and just use it to the leverage of your troops. So it's fun to me. It's not annoying. I think it's a dynamic way of playing.
Well, for now then, you can just be creative with the setup you have. When you just establish the main resources, like the two M10s, the three or four snipers, the main trench, the bait trench, you can just keep adding trenches to the right, just moving your bait trench to the right because if you happen to lose this bait trench, you still have another one behind. Yes, it will be with a cam net, and the enemies, if they are managing to overrun your cam net, they can just destroy it. You will lose 5 points, but it's not as bad as if you just lose the main trench, the main cam net, the main soldiers and stuff. Just like that, you can just add indefinitely amount of trenches and just be happy with that. One thing you need to be a little bit cautious too is that 222 there because it has a little bit more range than the average soldier you have. So they just start shooting before. If they manage to get closer to your lines, they will just reveal your soldiers inside the campnet. So it is just the biggest foe you have in the game. So if you're patrolling, make sure the M10 is with you because it will make the turret noise, will spot it, and will be just as cool as a cucumber. Well, when you spawn the the ammunitions on the supply depots, make sure that your snipers take the best ones, like the incendiary, the high power, the frangible bleed. The frangible bleed for me is the best because just keeps the Germans losing health while they're still advancing. So for me, it's the best ammunition. So make this in mind so the snipers get the best ones. Well, it's a good thing to notice that when you have the right amount of snipers on your team, uh, the right thing to do is just to farm experience for the least senior ones, uh, just making them the ones that go in the patrols with the scouts, so they get their better range with their weapons against the Germans. So you keep the seniors behind in the tent or in the rear trenches, and the least experienced just go with the scout and just farm some XP. Always making sure the M10s are not in range of the infantry because obviously their range is is superior to the infantry. So if you have the soldier with the Panzerfaust or Panzerschreck close to an M10, it's just a necessary risk to it. So just be cautious.
So at this moment, I just put a chemnet on my M10 because I'm planning to call another one and just keep stacking them around my tent just to make sure the enemies, when they come with vehicles, they don't just get the better of the situation. In this blitz, particularly, I just call air superiority and just deal with the airdrop wave like this. They just don't come when you call the air superiority. 390 piece. Always make sure that the mines have the right spacing so the soldiers will won't just blow up all the mines at the same time, just one each one individually. So just be cautious about it. So I always try to spot in the waves if you have the detection of the enemies, of course. If they possess some shovels or something like that, because they can just disarm the mines you put if they have the correct tools for it. So in case they don't have, just put all the way all the places the mines you want. Just gonna be very good for you. And if they have vehicles, just put the 18 mines, and that's very effective. That 18 mine I put, just not not going to help much because it's too close to my line, and the tank will not advance until there. So anyway, my M10 will just kill the Panther before that. Well, this is it, boys. Wave 101. I think the next videos are just gonna make the close protection and the proper planning deployments. Uh, Tell me what you thought about it. I think I'm gonna be making those without the commentary because I think I covered much of the things you need to know in this video. So in the next one's just normal role playing. I think it's gonna be good. Tell me in Discord what you think, what you thought, and have a good one.